Welcome everybody. We are starting the 6th edition of the India Global Connect, which is hosted by the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council in association with, the High Commission of Singapore and also the Ministry of Commerce and Industries, Government of India. So before we go to the main program, we will show you a short film on Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council. That was just a glimpse of India, and now you will be into the main program held by where you will see the entire panorama of India. And of course, as India and Singapore will open the dialogue basically between the two trade community, between the two jewelry communities of both the countries. And before we delve into the program of today, I would request Mr. Siddharth Nath, Deputy High Commission to Singapore of India-Singapore Bilateral Trade from the Indian High Commission, to give the welcome address. Mr. Siddharth Nath, Deputy High Commissioner to Singapore.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ray. It's a pleasure to be here. On behalf of the High Commission of India and Singapore, I would like to say that not only thank you for inviting us and for helping us being part of this initiative, but also to congratulate you on hosting this very important and timely event. So there's no doubt that this event would have been important at any time in the past 30 years, but its salience has increased even more because of the unprecedented challenges faced by the world due to the COVID pandemic. And it is here that I think programs like the Global Connect, initiatives like as those being taken by the Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council become even more important in helping link businesses on both sides. Now I am aware that we have a very distinguished gathering here, and they are aware that the warmth of the political relationship between India and Singapore is what underpins the excellent economic and trade relations between the two countries. So in 2015, the India-Singapore relationship was elevated to a strategic partnership during the landmark visit to Singapore of India's Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi. And equally important, the civilizational friendship between the two countries spans the millennia. But specifically on bilateral trade, Singapore is now India's largest trading partner in ASEAN. It's India's 7th largest trading partner globally, with a share of about 3% of India's overall trade. And in terms of India's exports, Singapore is the 5th largest export destination in the world. In terms of imports into India, Singapore is the 10th largest source for India globally. One can see the progress made in the relationship over the last few years if one considers the figures that even in a pandemic year, between April 2020 and January 2021, bilateral trade stood at about $16.9 billion US, with India's exports to Singapore about $7 billion US and imports around $9.9 billion US, a significant increase from 2003-04, when India's exports to Singapore were only about $2.1 billion. Singapore is also the region's hub for trade, for investment, for aviation, for finance, and that has also helped underpin the bilateral trade relationship. Beyond just trade in goods, about 80% of listed offshore bonds by Indian issuers are listed on the Singapore Exchange, the SGX. Singapore is also the leading source of foreign direct investment into India. So over the last 20 years, the total cumulative investment into India from Singapore is more than 100 billion, accounting for almost 21% of total FDI flows into India. And even during the pandemic, Singapore has retained its position as the largest source of foreign investment in India, with FDI actually increasing in the April to January figure period, actually being higher than the corresponding figure in 2019-20. And Singapore companies across a wide variety of fields, from real estate to logistics to food processing to high technology, are benefiting from the large and expanding Indian market. But of course, the partnership runs both ways. India's cumulative investment into Singapore has reached 70 billion US dollars. More than 9,000 Indian companies are registered in Singapore. And we are happy to say that in every area of our development priority, Singapore is a major partner. We are also collaborating on cutting edge areas that will shape the future in the context of accelerating technological disruption. Areas such as fintech or cloud computing, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, health tech, telemedicine, smart pharmaceuticals, smart medical devices, renewable energy. And the exciting startup environments in the two countries are also engaging with each other, including through the Inspreneur, the India-Singapore Entrepreneurship Bridge, which was initiated by the High Commission of India. Specifically in the areas of gems and jewelry, while much progress has been made, it's clear that there is much greater potential. As per the data published by the Department of Statistics in Singapore, during the year 2020, India exported roughly Singapore dollars 523 million worth of natural or cultured pearls, semi-precious stones, precious metals, metals clad with precious, basically the products under Chapter 71. Now, India's exports to Singapore constituted only about 1.7% of the total Chapter 71 commodities imported by India in 2020. And that also, the fact that the potential is much more also is shown up by the Ministry of Commerce statistics, our Indian Ministry of Commerce statistics on India's worldwide exports of the Chapter 71 products. So there's clearly scope for much greater volumes to Singapore. I think we've got a good panel which will discuss some of the issues. I'm aware that one aspect which JEPC is already looking at actively is making sure that our products remain suited to the requirements of a mature market like Singapore in terms of the design and meeting the changing nature of local demand. Don't want to take up much time, but just to reinforce, just to underline that that you have the full support of the High Commission of India and Singapore in the efforts of JEPC to deepen engagement and forge new connections during this period. In every sector, but in the gems and jewelry sector as well, engagement with India offers unmatched opportunities to our partners abroad. And the strategic partnership between India and Singapore forms the perfect backdrop in which to fully explore and take advantage of these exciting opportunities. So I just end by commending this initiative and again promising full support from our side. Thank you very much.
Sabya, you're on mute.
ED, you're on mute. ED, unmute yourself. ED, unmute yourself.
Sorry. So that was really a very wide-angle view of the Indian-Singapore trade, and we are very happy to know that 9,000 Indian companies, 70 billion US dollars of investment in Singapore. Yes, that is a humongous figure, and we hope, or of course, we expect that this should grow. And basically, this forum which has been created is for this only. For your information, I would like to inform you that this India Global Connect Forum under the pandemic is an online forum created by the Gem and Jewelry Export Promotion Council. Before, you used to take exploratory delegations to different countries, and now it is not possible under the current circumstances, and we have found it very convenient and for everybody, both the trade group, for us, for the government, that this kind of forum is helping to take the trade forward. And for your information, of course, as you all know, that India showed a very good V-shaped recovery, and our exports have also recovered. And we expect that this year we will be, by only 10-15%, of which the chairman will give you a better view in his presentation. And we started with United Kingdom doing this India Global Connect. We followed it up with Switzerland. Then we traveled to Colombia. Then we went to Angola, Oman, and now we are doing it for Singapore. So it is a pan, world view basically. Through the continents we have traveled, and now we are in the eastern part of India. So it is good that we are doing this with Singapore. And before we want to go into the next our item, which is the presentation by the chairman, I would like to just introduce, the panelist who is there with us today. From from Singapore, we have Mr. Ahmed Miran Mohammed Bilal, who is the president of the James Traders Association Singapore. We have Mr. M. Rafi Ahmed, who is the secretary of the James Traders Association Singapore from Arfa James. Mr. Muhammad Jahabar Sadiq, who is Assistant Secretary of the James Traders Association of Singapore. Fatima James and Jewelry is the company he represents, and I thank James Traders Association of Singapore for helping us to host this India Global Connect. We have Mr. Bhupesh Patni of Hanifa Jewelers. We have Mr. Ramu from APJ Abirami Popular Jewelers Private Limited. We have Mr. Deepak Singapuri from New Light Enterprises. We have Mr. Habibur Rahman from Golden Goldsmith Pte Limited. We have Ms. Basria from Maduras Jewelry. And in the Indian side, we have with us today Mr. Colin Shah, the chairman of Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council, the GJEPC. Mr. Mansukh Kothari, who is the convener events of the event subcommittee of the Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council. Mr. K. Srinivasan, who is the convener of the jewelry panel of the Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council. Mr. Milan Choksi, who is from Mox Jewelry and also he is the convener of promotion, marketing and business development of the Gems and Jewelry Export Promotion Council. Ms. Survi Didwania from My Motif. So this is what the panel consists of, and of course we have with us Mr. Siddharth Nath, who is the Deputy High Commissioner in the Indian High Commission in Singapore, and Mr. Suresh Kumar, who is busy into some work with Joint Secretary. He was supposed to join. He may join a bit later, and that is what the entire, the entire panel which is considered today. With this, I would now go to our chairman, Colin Shah, for giving the presentation to explain that what it is like for the India-Singapore, India Global Connect.
Thanks, Abhay. Good afternoon, everyone. And I'd request Vikrant, would you just play the video about our introduction? No, not this.
So we'll do that, just one.
There's no audio coming.
Indian jewelry is not merely a craft, it is an art, both in design and workmanship. Artisans have mastered the blend of traditional skills with cutting-edge modern techniques to provide world-class.
We are not only the bearers of our ancient traditions, but leaders in using modern technology. India has an edge in making not only detailed edge appliances, our manufacturers and designers make top quality jewelry that caters to global tastes.
DJPC has been instrumental in the export growth of India's 40 billion gem jewelry industry over the last 5 decades. With more than 7,000 members, it plays a key role in representing the trade. For policy reforms, export promotion programs, imparting education through institutes for skill enhancement, or bringing new talent to this industry. Council is leading right from the front, striving each day to make the industry the country's pride and make India the world's premier gem and jewelry destination.
Sorry, I guess that's technically some issues on the audio video, but I'll just quickly I guess jump into the presentation. Maybe that's better. One sec. Can everyone see? Is it clear on screen?
Yes, clear.
Yeah. Okay. So great. So just to give a quick introduction on GJPC, we are 55 years old. It's one of the oldest trade bodies in the country. We represent our industry issues to the government, to bankers, miners, reach out to customers globally, hundreds of countries. We obviously have a trade development role. That's our main job. So we have the India Pavilion in most I guess major shows all over the world. We do several buyer seller meets in the course of the year, physical and virtual. Especially post pandemic, we've done many virtual buyer seller meets. We do trade delegations to various countries, and we also organize the two large IIJSs in India, which draw nearly 50,000 visitors in the country and 2,000 exhibitors from across the world. So that's, I guess a gamut of all the things which GJPC does on the promotion front. We do virtual exhibitions and India Global Connect, like what we're doing today, and we've done with several other countries in the last 2 months, is another initiative that we've been doing very vigorously. Besides that, we have the common facility centers. We are setting up a jewelry park in New Bombay, the gem bourse in Jaipur. So besides everything else we're doing, we're also setting these up. And then we have the various social initiatives, like we have group Mediclaim for our karigars. We've nearly enrolled 600,000 lives already in our group Mediclaim, which is tremendous, especially in a country like India, where this ensures that every karigar of ours has access to the best medical help there is in the country. On the self-regulation front, we have My KYC Bank, which does a thorough check on the identity of the promoters and companies who are our members. So you all can rest assured that whoever you work with has gone through a stringent KYC check at our end too. So whether it's PMLA, whether it's all kinds of global regulations which are there, our members have been checked for all those regulations. Besides that, we are the nodal agency for the KP process, and we have 7 skill centers and 3 certifying labs. So all in all, and I wish the movie audio video was clearer, but basically this is everything that council has done over the last 55 years, and it continues to vigorously, I guess, champion ahead on all these fronts. Besides that, this is our global position of India. So if you look at gold jewelry, we rank second. Our exports are $12 billion. On cut and polished diamonds, we are the undisputed leader in the world, and our exports are $20 billion. In silver jewelry, we do $1 billion. Gemstone is $400 million. Yes, sorry. And synthetic diamond stones is $400 million. So, we rank amongst the top 1, 2, 3 in most of our major commodities. Imitation jewelry, we're at 11, and we will see a lot of progress in the next 2, 3 years, even on that front. This is just to highlight a little bit, and we've typed Japan erroneously, but our exports to Singapore are between 400 and 500. We had a peak in 18-19, which was $700 million, and we import from Singapore between 180. We used to be 180. It's grown to $400 million. So what we import mainly is rough diamonds, gold bars, and silver bars. And what we are exporting currently to Singapore is diamonds, gold jewelry, and silver jewelry. And just to highlight over here, the potential both ways is immense, considering the potential of both our countries. So I'm sure there is a large potential for us to export more, and even for Singapore to do more business in India. It's amongst our top trading partners, but if you see the gap, say, with Hong Kong, we do $9.5 billion, UAE is 9.5, US is little over 9. So compared to that, Singapore's at $500 million. Yes, it is in our top 10, but we feel that there is scope to at least double from here and at least touch $1 billion of business exports from India to Singapore. And within ASEAN, Singapore is India's key export destination. So we see that as a, again, growth potential for all our exporters, that amongst the ASEAN nations, there is of course scope for the Indians. We probably focused even as a country more on America, Hong Kong, and the Gulf. And we obviously want to diversify our portfolio and focus more even on the ASEAN nations. And we see Singapore as a very important cog in the wheel over there. And we would really encourage everyone to, take today and, brainstorm out what more we can do to increase our business with Singapore. Like we know, and we've explained earlier, India is the leader for diamonds, and for a variety of reasons. One is, obviously it's cost. We have the most cost-efficient manufacturing in India. And besides that, even in terms of tech today, we are probably globally, I would say, number one in terms of even technology when it comes to cutting and polishing a diamond, and in terms of maximizing yield, in terms of having the nicest polish on a diamond. Diamonds are all about brilliance, and our manufacturers have really mastered the art of making sure that at least on the diamond front, we produce the best there is in the world in the best cost possible too. And of course, when it comes to service, our exporter members are the finest. All of them have online services. All of them have offices to, service manufacturers and retailers globally. So I think in diamonds, obviously, we've captured that part of the business. In gemstones, In Tanzanite and emerald, we cut nearly 90% of the emeralds and tanzanites of the world. Morganite also, we are global leaders. The only stone which we're maybe number 2, 3, and not 1 is rubies. But besides that, all the precious and semi-precious stones are more or less cut and polished in India. Jaipur continues and will be hopefully one of the largest centers for gemstones. And again, there's a lot to offer over here. And with gemstones becoming more trendier, even globally with most of the brands, we think this business has huge potential of growth. Jewelry we manufacture between our members, 7,000 members across the country. There is a very, I guess, little jewelry that we don't manufacture actually, whether it's diamond jewelry, plain gold, 9 KT, 14, 18 KT, platinum, handcrafted, CNC machine tech, electroformed. I guess there's really nothing. So between all the members that we have across the country, I'm sure your members will also find it easy to source any and every kind of jewelry there is to buy. So I mean, of course, and we've said it earlier, continue to say that I guess it's going to be meetings like this where it will start with maybe meet and greet, and then we would definitely invite you all to visit our shows when things come back to normal. The 2 IIJSs that we do, the virtual buyer seller meets. I mean, we have a whole calendar. It's on our website, and we'll reach out. Our exhibition team will reach out to whoever has attended today to visit the shows. Between all the virtual buyer seller meets, you will get a chance to I guess meet all our members who are interested in exporting to Singapore, and we are hoping that you all make the best of it. We really feel that the potential to grow this business from where it is today at around 400, $500 million to $1 billion should be relatively easy with a little bit of focus, meeting the right people on both sides. And I guess for India to understand what we can do more with Singapore, and for Singapore to understand that where their strength lies, where the Indian manufacturer's strength lies, and what is it that we can do together. So on that note, thank you for your time, thank you for attending, and over to you, Sabya.
Thank you, Mr. Colin Shah. It was a very comprehensive presentation, and of course, we missed the film, or rather, viewing the film properly due to this technical snag, and sorry for that. And now we'd start basically the interaction session between the trade community of both the countries. And for that, we have certain questions which we'll ask to the jewelers from Singapore and also to the people who are from outside, the jewelers and the gem and jewelry community. So that way, I'll start with Mr. Habibur Rahman. I have a simple question for him, that are you sourcing gem and jewelry products from India? And if yes, what is the overall experience basically of yours in sourcing Indian products, if you are sourcing the Indian products? Mr. Habibur Rahman.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Currently, we are exporting export from India only gold jewelry 916. We have very comfort experience with our exporter. The exporter, they able to supply all varieties of gold jewelry, which was very demandable in Singapore. And the second question, can I answer the second question, sir? Facing any challenges while importing the gem and jewelry products from India? This question, can I able to answer?
Yes, please.
Okay. Last time, I'm talking about 4 years back. We have very good arrangements with India side. Whenever we need a stock, we go and personally I visit the wholesaler office. We select the product and we do hand carry, which very good for us. We can improve our sale demand drastically. My personally went to my exporter or import my supplier office. Every month I used to bring around 30 to 40 kg from India. Nowadays, after the recent development, We don't. The government of India, they stopped hand carry product from India to Singapore, which was very inconvenient for us. This is the challenges. Otherwise, everything is fine.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Mr. Habibur Rahman. And we are sorry to note that this is creating a hindrance regarding the hand carriage. Of course, we'll go deep into this. We are not aware that this kind of regulation has come in, but still we will go deep into the case and we'll try to solve this issue so that you can carry on with your business as usual, as you were doing, and you can increase the business with India.
Thank you, sir.
Now I go to Mr. Bhupesh Patni. As Mr. Patni, you have heard from Mr. Rahman that gold jewelry is the prime import product from India. So if that is the prime import product, we understand that Singapore also imports a large quantum of the gold jewelry from countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, or France, basically. So if I may ask you that what is the, basically the difference between your experience, between why, what about India and what about those countries? If you can just give a brief comparative summary between the two destinations, what you are sourcing your products from. You are on mute, Mr. Patni.
Okay, is that okay?
Yes. Now it's okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, with regards to all the imports and everything, Malaysia has got a very far superior market when it comes to certain types of jewelry. They are mostly into casting and all that. Handmake is not so much over there. Handmake is, we still have to source from India. Indonesia is something similar to Malaysia, but they're on a much larger scale, and they have an abundance of workers, which is apparently a big shortage in India from what I hear from our suppliers. And the ease of doing business with Malaysia or Indonesia, unfortunately, we don't have that with India. Today, every export which we need to do from India there's so much of bureaucracy, which hurts the business. France, I wouldn't say is much of an exporter. Europe side, there's not much. The Italians do export, but they're mainly into the 18 karat and the 14 and the 12 karat market. Italians are again very different. That they have a different market altogether. Malaysia right now is the main supplier, I think, to the rest of the world when it comes to 22 karat jewelry. But once again, it's all about getting the proper imports done. And right now, there's such a global demand for jewelry. Unfortunately, no country is able to quickly generate the orders. There's a big demand and the supply is less.
Thank you, Mr. Patni. That is really comprehensive and very direct. You have anything more?
Yes. Nothing. Just, the ease of doing exports from India, that would be really helpful. I mean, even at this moment of time, I'm sure you would have heard there's a big shortage of export metal in India. People are sitting with so many orders, but they just can't export because there's no metal available.
Yes, that is one of the issues, Mr. Patni, we are facing, of course, for outright gold, because the gold prices have gone down, and throughout the world, I think there is a shortage of the metal.
There is a shortage, and every country is unique. They each all have their own individual problems. Yes. But in short, there's a demand and there's no supply. Okay. You will be surprised that Malaysia today, some of the factories have said they will not take any more orders until September or October. They are swamped with production.
We will ask this question because we have some good manufacturers also on our side. We'll ask the questions to them, what they have to answer to your, this is a very direct question that you have put forward to the Indian supplier. We will ask.
No worries.
Regarding your, ease of doing business, of course, we will try to understand where are the difficulties, and we'll take it up with government, and believe me, government in India is nowadays very proactive and will solve it.
Sure, definitely. Look forward to it.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Patti.
All right. Thank
now,
you very much.
yes, now we go to Mr. Ahmed Miran Mohammed Bilal. So for you, the question is very simple, is that Singapore, you all understand, the main demand of Singapore comes from the tourists who are buying into Singapore. So we know that Singapore is one of the best tourist destinations in the world, and a lot of tourists buy jewelry, and from there the demand originates. Now, if we look at the products what India supply and what the tourists pick up, what will be your opinion? That means catering to the demand of such tourists, where you will rate the Indian supply or Indian kind of jewelry, whether they can cater to that kind of requirement from the tourists who are arriving in Singapore and buying the jewelry. This is the question to you.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. First of all, good afternoon to all. The one is our Deputy Commissioner Siddharth Nath, Chairman Colin Shah, Mr. Vikrant, and all council members and Singapore side trade people also. Good afternoon. Yes, the one is in Singapore, the one is the gem trading, mostly Indians. The one is past more than half a century. But just last year, we are established Gem Traders Association of India last July 27th, 2020. And we are also to showcase our the business to world and also to pull the opportunities from overseas. In Singapore, gem traders also participate in the Hong Kong exhibition, Thailand, Sri Lanka, India also. But we are expecting more from India. The one is the chairman also said emerald, tanzanite, and morganite. Yeah, especially correct. The one other than that is mostly the diamonds. The color stone side only the tanzanite. That we are in Singapore. The local buyers is very unique. Suppose is whatever. Yeah, the ruby means ruby is best from Burma. They want the Burmese one. The sapphire from Sri Lanka. The one is from India, the emerald, and also the semi-precious, and also the one is the jewelries. But the one is our Polki jewelry, this kind of a lot of the color stone, the jewelries, the Chinese people not much like. The one is our Indian people only like. In Singapore, your question is in Singapore, the gemstone and jewelry, the 30% local buyers and 70% is a tourist. Now, the one also the world, the one is the problem, the pandemic. Singapore is also very strict to the close, not open for the tourists. The one is through some doing through online, but anyway very difficult. This one, the pandemic period is very affected the business, gem and jewelry business. In future, we are also good connection with India, the exhibitions, and the one is yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammed Bilal, and that was again, of course, very informative. And specifically your information that 30% is the local purchases and 70% are from tourists. So if that was what we were trying to understand, how is the tourist purchases and how the Indian jewelry which is exported, how does it fare? Now we'd like to go to the Indian purchases, as Mr. Mohammed Bilal has mentioned that 30% of is the local purchases, and of course there are a lot of Indians there in the local purchases, what we understand. So if Indians have a significant presence in Singapore, this question is to Mr. Ramu, that do you find that the preferences of Indians and the local Singaporeans are more or less common, or are they different basically? So especially towards this gold jewelry what India is exporting, if there is a demand of gold jewelry among the locals, and in the local preference between the Indians and the local Singaporeans, if there is a difference, what will you comment about that, about the Indian jewelry which is exported to Singapore? Mr. Ramu. I think Mr. Ramu is not there.
Can I add something?
Yes, I think
Yeah,
Bilal can answer this question.
Yes. In Singapore is also correct. You are correct. The one is in Singapore, Indian buyers, Singapore Indians, Indian Singaporeans also different. The Chinese different. The taste is different. The one is our Indians buyers is also the mostly gold jewelries and some, the one is the emeralds, the rubies is not a very top quality. But the Chinese buyers is a top quality with white gold, platinum. The one is they want the top qualities, but not a much. Very few pieces. Our Indians need also the one is more gemstones in the one jewelry, the polki type. But in Chinese buyers is very unique, and also their taste is different. The top quality, very few selected pieces. Yes.
Thank you. That is again very informative. Basically, we understand that between the gemstones, what Indians are taking and the Chinese are taking, basically the difference in the type of products, what both of these communities are picking up from the stores. And now I'll go to Mr. Rafi Ahmed. To you, that, of course, Mr. Bilal has already told us that what is the type of gemstones, but I will try to get it more from you, that if you differentiate between the preference in gemstones between the Chinese and the Indian buyers, the type of gemstone, let's say, as Mr. Bilal was telling, that emerald and ruby. So the type of gemstones beyond them, basically, what is liked by the Singaporeans? Can you differentiate in the type of gemstones what the buyers are preferring right now?
Yes. Hi, good afternoon to everyone. Can you hear us?
Yes, very much.
Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Rafi Ahmed, Secretary of GTAS, Gem Traders Association of Singapore. We would like to thank GJEPC for inviting us here today. Coming to the question, Singaporeans are very interested in gemstones and its jewelry. In the 80s and 90s, precious stones were high in demand. Most customers were old generation people, like especially older women, and were interested in commonly known precious stones like rubies, sapphire, emeralds. However, in the past 10 years, the younger generation have taken more interest in gemstones and are particularly keen in semi-precious stones, like mentioned about tanzanite, moganite, kunzite, natural quartz, something like that, semi-precious stones. With the wide use of social media, users are willing to buy many stones for themselves, even in a budget. It is also very surprising that they suggest unique shapes and cutting, unlike the past where it was only typical shapes, like oval shapes, especially 2-3 shapes only, oval shapes, octagon and a round only. We sometimes get photo references from them, which reminds us how we have to stay updated to meet such demands. So surely, Singapore definitely has a high preferences for buying gemstones and jewelries. Thank you once again. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rafi Ahmed. That was very clear, basically. So you have also differentiated between the past, what is the in vogue, and currently what is the trend. So thank you for that. So now I go to Mr. Deepak Singapuri. I would like to, go forward of what we are learning for the gemstones. I would now like to understand about diamonds, basically. What are the type of diamonds that is preferred? And if, as we all know, that Singapore is also a manufacturing center for lab-grown diamonds. So what is the, preference of diamonds and lab-grown diamonds? if you may, expand further on this question.
Well, I've been in the diamond trade for the last 42 years. We are probably one of the oldest in Singapore. I don't see any big demand for lab-grown diamonds. Singaporeans are pretty smart. They are very careful when they spend their money. Investment is very important. What will I get tomorrow if I don't want this diamond? That is the question on their mind. So they'll probably buy, or most of them would buy certified diamonds. And in that sense, they would go for the best cert, which these days, 90% of the world's diamonds are certified by GIA anyway. So they would go for GIA, and they have become very, very careful. And sometimes, or most of the time, they know better than us. They know about the triple excellent. They want non-fluorescent. So they're very careful on what they buy. Generally speaking, it's certified GIA diamonds that they go for. And even when it comes to 30 pointers and below, the question would be, do you have a certified 10 pointer? Now, in normal sense, below 30 pointers, it's not easy to get certified, and it'll be very expensive anyhow. So for that also, they would want you to write on your paper very carefully, what is the clarity, what is the color. They know everything. So in that sense, it's GIA certified, and it's certified diamonds that we go for. Lab-grown market is very, 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 very small. And talking about the people who mainly buy certified diamonds, it's more on the Chinese side. The Chinese are more for diamonds, the Indians are more for gold. So these days, now it has come to the level of age group. The elderlies, even the Chinese still go for gold, but the youngsters these days go more for diamond jewelry. And it's all encrusted in 18K white gold, that's a preference, or platinum. Yellow gold, it's not so common these days. That's how it goes.
That's great, to hear basically, because India is one of the largest producer of diamonds. So it is good to hear for Indians that diamond is in vogue in the younger group, and also the diamonds is the preferred thing to purchase by the younger group. So hope that that market grows. Now, we'd like to, we have heard about a lot about the demand of the products in the Singaporean market. We'd also like to understand about the industries there. So Mr. Muhammad Jahabar Sadiq, I would like to understand from you that what is the state of manufacturing of various kind of gem and jewelry products in Singapore, or rather it is not a manufacturing or only a trading country. So I'd like to understand more about the local industry of gems and jewelry in Singapore.
Thank you very much for, hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for participating in this GJEPC, this wonderful program. Actually, Singapore is the retail hub. There is no any big manufacturing factory in Singapore. This is the very big retail industry because of this. One of the earlier you told is the biggest tourism spot. So very mainly here in the retail industry, we have the small factories and all for the which is making for the custom made jewelry. There is not like India having the huge big size of the factory in Singapore because it's a very small country. So I think it is in my knowledge, according to in this field, we have a very big retail market in Singapore. So there is no such as a big manufacturing in Singapore. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sadiq. That also gives an insight into the Singapore industry, and it is we are happy to hear that that is a retail, hub basically for jewelry. Of course, with the preference of jewelry of the Singaporean consumers, that is natural. That it is a good retail destination with the tourists coming in, and that brings us to the next question. As you have told that Singapore does have some custom-made jewelry units. So It is very interesting to know. We have known about the product, we have known about the studies, what is there, the gemstone, the diamonds. Now we'd like to know the designs. That what kind of trend, what kind of designs are currently in vogue and what is liked by the consumers in Singapore and what is in vogue in Singapore. For that, I'd like to, ask this Basria this question basically, that what are the kind of designs that is in vogue in Singapore in terms of gems and jewelry.
Hello.
Yes, Ms. Basria, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay. I'll just make it short. As for the designs part, I would rather say that, see, when we travel overseas to other countries to procure jewelries, ornaments, we find that there's a vast designs and it's very new. We see Jaipur, we see parts of North India, we see parts of South India, varieties of designs and types. Whereas in Singapore, the availability of such varieties are very minimal. So that is one thing I still feel that Singapore has to look into, the procurement of varieties of jewelry from the up north to down south. So it's, hello? Hello?
I can hear you.
You can hear us? Okay. So see, there is two things. When we talk about varieties of jewelry, like you can say that the Singapore is a very small trading country, and comparatively, like what you say, this we have only reached 500 million mark, and there is not much demand as compared to other countries. It's always like it's vice versa. When the product is there, the demand can be created. When the product is not available in Singapore, how can the demand be created, right? So I would actually request more suppliers from manufacturers from India to actually bring in their products to Singapore. Let us see the varieties that India can offer, and so that we can introduce those designs to Singapore. So we can actually break out from this traditional mindset of people that only, Malaysian products, this kind of designs, or a particular South Indian type of designs, or only Calcutta designs are available. We can even go for those, a lot of varieties. I may not know the names, but I see each and every state has their own very niche specialization in the type of jewelry they manufacture. So those are not pretty available in Singapore yet.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Basria. That was again an insightful thing that you were recommending that more prospecting by the local suppliers are required, to test or to challenge the consumers with their tests basically, so that those kind of varieties of jewelry can be sold and that can find a market, that has a market as per your opinion. So it is good to know, and both the Indian suppliers and also the Singaporean, the traders and the jewelers are present. This is music to their ears, I believe. And with that, I'd like to go to the last question of our session with the, people from Singapore, with the jewelers from Singapore. This question is addressed to Mr. Deepak Singapuri. Just to, sum up the whole thing, if I can ask you, that as we have all heard that Singapore, the main demand is, in the case of Singapore, is plain gold jewelry, and the demand for diamond jewelry is increasing. Can you assess that in today's market, that what is, if you can give a ratio, if you can give a percentage, that what is the type that, let's say, plain gold jewelry, to studded jewelry, to diamond studded jewelry, to gemstone studded jewelry, what is the percentage of demand or what is being sold in Singapore, in your opinion?
Well, I would say the smallest would be on pearl jewelry. We're not talking about necklaces and all that. We're talking about jewelry encrusted in gold. So the lowest, I believe, would be pearl, like for example, a pearl ring or something like that. after which you would have like what Mr. Rafi said, semi-precious. Then you would have number 3 in terms of bigness would be gemstones, precious gemstones, after which would be diamonds, and of course the leading part would be all gold. Now the all gold part here is leading basically because a lot of people buy gold bars as well. So that would also be misconstrued as jewelry. But if you actually look at it, it's more Indians who are buying pure gold jewelry. The rest of the people and tourists are more or less buying diamond, gemstone jewelry. So if you look at the actual ratio, I would say that diamond and gemstone jewelry eventually would be considered more against gold if you do not consider the aspect of investment gold. A lot of people misconstrue the idea because a lot of people go down to the retail shops and buy 999 gold for investment. Now that's a different ball game altogether. So in actual sense, if you look at it, it's the diamond-studded jewelry which leads the race, followed by gold, followed by precious gemstones, semi-precious gemstones, and finally pearl. This is how the whole thing goes. Again, it goes depending on age group also. And these days, it's the youngsters who buy more. And most of the youngsters are not really keen on buying pure gold jewelry. They would go more for diamond-studded or gemstone-studded. More, of course, on diamond-studded. And it's only for the wedding purpose that they buy pure gold. Like for our Indians also, the in-laws and the outlaws and whatever would be giving away pure gold jewelry. The same goes for the Chinese scenario for weddings. But day to day, it's more on gemstone, more on diamonds than gemstone, and it's more into custom made. So it's like they come, they select their diamond, they buy the diamond, and then they go and get it made. Or they buy the gemstone, like what Mr. Bilal would also agree. They would buy the gemstone first, and then go and make the jewelry. So it works that way. All depends on how you count it. So in my opinion, it would be diamond jewelry, precious gemstone, semi-precious gemstone, pearl, and gold can always be first or second depending on how you construct.
Thank you, Mr. Singapuri. We have, it's a precise answer basically, and you have gone deep into, finding out the answers. So it is now clear that how the gold market is moving amongst the different kind of products, the gold jewelry, plain gold jewelry, studded jewelry. So now we have heard, we have a fair amount of idea about the Singapore market and what the traders there are preferring or based on the consumer taste. Now we'll go to the Indian side to give responses to certain questions what we have heard today or certain conjectures basically on the supply from India. So I would have with me first Mr. K. Srinivasan, who is of course our convener of gold jewelry panel, the jewelry panel, and also Mr. Srinivasan is heading one of the largest manufacturing companies in India in terms of plain gold jewelry. So I would like to hear from Mr. Srinivasan about, as you have heard, that the largest demand in Singapore is of course of plain gold jewelry, and with 700,000 people, Indians who are living in Singapore, there's a lot of demand of Indian kind of jewelry. And also you have heard that handmade and casting, there's a huge demand of casting jewelry, which of course, as per the Singapore jewelers, is they are still comfortable to source from Malaysia or Indonesia, etc. So you are one of the largest casting jewelry manufacturer in India. Can you comment on the total, the span, what you have heard just now? From Indian side, what will be your answer? Because I know that you represent the entire Indian community of jewelers.
Thank you, Sabyasachi. What you said is right. Nearly last 30 years, I have been exporting gold jewelry to Singapore. I have started with handmade jewelry. Then whatever the machine-made jewelry we have made, everything we were exporting. Until before COVID, I think we were doing fantastic business because of whatever Indianized design we are manufacturing. This is welcomed by Indians, those living in Singapore. After COVID,
actually, this quantum has come down because actually, tourist population coming down to Singapore. According to me, next to Dubai, Singapore is the second biggest market for Indian jewelry. I think soon it will pick up. I understood there is some kind of problems the Singapore traders are facing. Definitely, we will take it to the government and see that we will ease the problems. And actually, 4 years before, whatever way they were getting jewelry from India, same atmosphere we will bring back. Actually, no, in India, yes, some technical problems are there. Now, actually, no, it is our duty. We will take it to Indian government. We will explain and we will find a remedy for this. Thank you, Sabyasachi.
Mr. Srinivasan, just one thing I want to follow it up with this is that you have heard that there is a lot of demand in Singapore and they are facing supply constraints. So what is your opinion about this? Have you found out that somebody has called from you for supply and you have not supplied?
No. What I'm saying, no, actually, no, Indian jewelry little bit expensive compared with Malaysian jewelry. See, Malaysian, their operation cost is very, very less. Their design is very, very simple. Whereas India, we are making complicated design. Whereas in the handmaids and all, really our cost is very, very high. We cannot compete with Malaysia. Of course, Malaysia, they are not manufacturing. And the cost comes, actually, no, they are preparing Malaysia. See, that is the traditional jewelry, very simple jewelry. Actually, no, those kind of jewelry, we are not at all concentrating. So only because of that, actually, no, that demand is not coming to India. I think Indian jewelry, there is a sufficient demand. Actually, no, people are liking and they are buying. As that madam said, actually, no, Singapore, this is Jaipur jewelry and all, they are not getting. Yes, that is right. Because actually, no, Singapore, Indian volume compared with Singapore is very, very small. Actually, no, traders not in a position to stock entire designs. Actually, a person who is having a more confidence can keep all the stock and they can sell. But actually, no, return on investment, everything is there. Because of that, sometimes they are not in a position to stock everything. So that is my idea. That is my view.
Thank you, Srinivasan. And that is again a candid submission of what you feel. And I will now go to Ms. Surbi Didwania. See, you have also heard, Ms. Didwania, about the requirement or the demand of the younger generation with regards to the studded jewelry and the boutique kind of jewelry. Of course, that is what they are looking at. So, if you can talk about from that angle, that what will be the win-win situation in terms of Indian jewelry supply and Singaporean jewelers in sourcing the goods, basically. What, in your opinion, will be the win-win situation from your end?
Okay, hello everyone. So basically, I am myself this generation who would, who doesn't think much before buying a jewelry. We want to, buy very, very small pieces, the studded ones. And we are into silver jewelry manufacturing completely. I do an online business. So there is a soaring demand of silver jewelry in Singapore. That is what we have been receiving constantly through mails and through calls and everything. And we are selling a lot through our website. So I just want that, that this thing should be a little bit more on a bigger level because nobody is talking about silver. Everyone is just, into golds and diamonds and stones and semi-precious and precious and all that. But the silver market is a very big thing. And after all the gold prices soaring up, I think we should really concentrate on silver jewelry. So that is what I want to request, to the Singapore traders and manufacturers also, that, they should try the silver jewelry also once. I mean, this is what I had a message to, convey today. So how we can collaborate, how we can do the job work and manufacturing here in Bombay. We also have a unit in Jaipur. So my concern is to how we can grow silver jewelry business in both the countries. even if it is importing and even if it is exporting, both, I mean, both ways, which is very, very little happening.
Thank you, Mr. Bania. Basically, what we understand, what Mr. Bilal has told, from there we have understood that, of course, there is a demand of the semi-precious stones or silver kind of jewelry. Of course, we have also heard that the platinum jewelry is also in vogue. So if the color, because we have understood that the color of gold basically
Right.
cannot be preferred by
Yeah.
some kind of consumers, from there, of course, there should be some kind of demand of silver in the Singapore market. And good luck to you. I think both of you are here. You can take it forward with the people who are there on the other side to take your demand of silver jewelry through them.
Correct.
Now I would like to come to Mr. Mansukh Kothari. So Mr. Mansukh Kothari, I know that you are one who are dealing with handmade jewelry, and you have heard that what the Singapore jewelers have told, that regarding handmade till now, India is the last option, what they are finding. And of course, from there, what they have also heard that, the supply constraints and also the constraints regarding the exports, if you are facing from India to Singapore. So both from the angle of the handmade jewelry and the designs what you are offering, and also basically the export constraints and the supply constraints, if you can throw more light on that.
As what Mr. Srinivasan had mentioned about the handmade jewelry, I think we are the best manufacturers of handmade jewelry to the world. We can make very beautiful designs, and we can craft that designs very well. And I think we'll be able to market it well in the world. And of course, the Singapore being the main country and where we have a lot of tourists, it can become a big market for us. I think supply, of course, handmade jewelry takes time to manufacturers. We have our own small issues in our country for manufacturing, but we can take care of that. But if Council and Government of India supports us to market the handcraft jewelry to the world, I think that can be a new market for the Indian manufacturers.
What is your opinion about setting up, trading offices in Singapore, basically? Whether the Indian jewelers can combine together and can set up trading offices so that, the supply constraint, what you are there.
I think this ED, I think this point is also of discussion we had long back. We are setting up an office in Dubai. Of course, Singapore also is a big importing country of Indian jewelry. I think it will help the importers of Singapore and of course the exporters of Indian jewelry to have a more collaboration.
Thank you, Mansukh bhai. So from here, if I can ask Mr. Bilal, just before I end this session, that what Mr. Survi Didwania has told about the silver jewelry, we have not heard. Of course, we have missed. So if you have something to say about silver jewelry.
Sorry. In my opinion, in Singapore, is silver jewelry is not a big market in silver jewelry. The one is the gold and the platinum gold, mostly the gold, yellow gold. The one is a white gold, and now the one is a pink gold, like that. Silver jewelry is very, very less. The one is maybe in Malaysia. The one is Singapore is a hub. The one is also whatever the one is the account shows. The one is a Singapore import. Not all used in Singapore. Through Singapore. Singapore is a hub. Via Singapore to Malaysia, via Singapore to Indonesia, like that. Honestly, I'm telling. Maybe I also don't know. But the one is a silver jewelry is very, very less consumed in Singapore.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bilal. So with this, we come to the end of the session. I'll just do a brief sum up. Of course, all of us are very, very fruitful discussion where we have understood both the Indian side and the Singapore jewelry side and the both market there, basically the supply and the market there. One of the things, if I can sum up, the whole session of what we have heard and what we have understood is, of course, in Singapore, we have a 70-30 ratio division between the demand. The 30% is local and 70% are the tourists. So with the pandemic, of course, the market is suffering a bit because the tourists cannot enter in Singapore due to the current pandemic. We hope that very soon, with this advent of this, this vaccines, of course, we can find out that this market will open up very soon. And when the market opens up, what we have understood is that in Singapore, the market trend is shifting. What was there before is more into the gold jewelry. It is shifting to the younger lot into diamond and studded jewelry. And in case of studded jewelry, if we see the gemstones, mainly emerald and ruby are in demand. And for diamonds, of course, it is driven by the investment mentality or psyche of the local consumers. And that investment psyche is telling them, or it's pushing them to only buy the certified diamonds, mainly certified by GIA. That is what we have understood. And also we have understood that the platinum jewelry is in vogue, it is coming in demand basically, and we have certain problems with regards to the supply from India and also the ease of doing business. What they used to do hand carriage from India, currently they cannot do. And between Chinese and Indian consumers in Singapore, we understand that Chinese are more into studded jewelry and Indians are more into plain gold jewelry. And Chinese are more into basically gemstone studded and diamond studded jewelry, mainly diamonds. So this is more or less in a nutshell, where we can in today's session. Of course, to end also, I can mention that between Malaysian and Indian jewelry, where casted jewelry is more into Malaysia or Indonesia, the handmade jewelry is more from India. And in case of the studdings, of course, Indians like more heavy studding like Polki and etc. And plain studdings are into non-Indian kind of consumers. This is what we have understood from our session today. With this understanding, we move forward. We encourage both the Singapore side and the Indian side to have better and closer business relationships. And we commit, of course, the Government of India representative is here, and we'll also take it up with the Government of India to see that the impediments in way of exports and import between, right business, ease of doing business can happen, can be there on ground. That, of course, as a council, we commit that we'll be striving for that. With that, we would like to request our convener events, Mr. Mansukh Kothari, to propose the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Edie. Before I give my vote of thanks, I would really like to welcome you when we do our physical IIJS in Mumbai soon. And of course, we'll ask our exhibitors team to reach out to you for the different product VBSM we are doing. So thank you so much. Over the last many years, we have seen the relationship between Singapore and India has grown from strength to strength. Relations of both countries are based on shared culture, value, economic opportunity, regular political engagement, strong defense relations, and technological collaborations. Our efforts through today's meetings further explore the opportunity and enhance the gem and jewelry trade between the two countries. This is the 6th Global India Connect. Earlier to this, we had done with the United Kingdom, Switzerland, Angola, Colombia, and Oman. Past these meetings, we have been witness buyers from these countries participating at our virtual trade shows and BSM. I'm hopeful that both India and Singapore will look forward to engage more strengthened trade further after this meeting. I would like to thank our all distributions panelists from Singapore and India for the participation at India Global Connect. It was really a meaningful and insightful discussion we had today. I will express my gratitude to Mr. Siddharth Nath, Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. Suresh Kumar, Joint Secretary, Minister of Commerce, Government of India, Mr. Mohammad Bilal, President, Gem and Trade Association of Singapore, Mr. Colin Shawa, our Chairman, for having open discussion and sharing the views on how to further improve the gem and jewelry trade between Singapore and India. My special thanks to Habibur Rahman for all the support in organizing this event. And thank you, Mr. Sabyasachi, for moderating this meet. But last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants from Singapore and India for the successful and making this event a successful one. Thank you once again. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mansukh Bhai. And with this, we end our today's session. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And we hope to continue this business in the long run. Thank you.